family, we've come to the end of another week. Have you been blessed? I know I've been blessed. I thank God so much for this study. We've been studying this wonderful subject. All the glory goes to God. All glory, all to the glory of God. Whatever you do it to the glory of God, right? Remember our memory verse, 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 31. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. We learned this week that it is possible, even even when we are in relationship with God, to have other things mess that relationship up, get in the way of actually loving God and loving others and helping others to come to know Christ as Lord and Savior. We learned that knowledge is one of those things that can be dangerous, like knowledge that makes us feel like we could do whatever we want, no matter how it affects other people. Remember, the Apostle Paul was cautioning, 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verses 1 to 13, cautioning the believers not to use their freedom and their liberty just as they want. Whoever they want, they could, eat whatever they want. But if eating stuff offered to idols is going to make my brother stumble or fall and cause disunity and breakdown in the church, then maybe I shouldn't do that. I should use my freedom to build up the church, to honor God, to build up his kingdom. And that's what the Apostle Paul says, 1 Corinthians 8:13. Therefore, if food causes my brother to stumble, I will never eat meat again. Powerful statement for individualistic Christians. Selfless love was Monday's study. Selfless love. Paul says, listen, I'm willing to deny myself. I have rights. I could, as an apostle, I don't have to prove my bona fides to anyone. I just look at you. You're coming to know the Lord is because of how God used me. I know that I'm an apostle of the Lord, and I have the right to take my wife with me on a trip. If I was married, I have the right to sustain myself from the resources of the church. But none of this I do because selfless denial, selfless love of God's people is what should adumbrate and move us to do the work of God, right? Paul is encouraging them to put love for God first rather than their own rights and privileges as believers or as leaders. But then we go on to learning from the past. He says we should consider how our forebears messed up in the wilderness, got into idolatry, complained, sexual immorality, things that caused the judgments of God to fall upon them. He's saying, let's learn from that. These things have come as examples for us that we will not repeat these behaviors as they did. Powerful learning from the past, that warning against the idolatry and the practices of the moment. Paul says in Wednesday's lesson that idolatry is something that we must be careful for. Why? Because 1 Corinthians chapter 10, 5 to 22, we have been joined to Christ. We are partakers of him. And to be joined in idolatrous practices, to have idols in our lives, people or things that we idolize, is actually to mingle ourselves with demonic powers, demonic forces, is to offer our best to demons. 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 20. Powerful statement that we should come away from that. It is not a good thing for us. And then overcoming idolatry was Thursday's study. And Paul says the way to do that is to exemplify Jesus Christ, to set the Lord always before us, to love him with all our heart, our soul, our mind, our strength, to love our neighbor as ourselves. That's what he told the rich young ruler. Come follow me, love me completely, and then give away what you have. This is the highest expression of that love. It is how we give God everything. When we give God all that we have and all the glory goes to him, by extension, we love others. That's our study this week. I'll see you next week, God willing.